Despite a lot of people calling me stupid and saying it was a not a very smart decision with a 2-year-old daughter, and I was building a pool in my backyard, to quit my job and go all in. What's up, Freedom fam, and welcome to the very first episode of a new segment that I'm trying out, giving you behind the scenes looks at what I'm doing in my business. If you're new to this channel or if you're new to this podcast, every Monday I do a real estate investing only segment where I do a deep dive into one specific topic of real estate, like private lenders, 10-15 minutes on private lenders, or maybe lead sources, 10 to 15 minutes on free lead sources. And then every Wednesday, Lucas and I, my business partner and I, we talk about life and business. Sometimes we have guests. We talk about sports and real estate and being dads and trying to figure out how to grow these companies that we're growing and giving you real life feedback. And now on Fridays, I'm going to give you a behind the scenes look at all of our businesses. I mean, I'm going to dig deep. I'm going to talk numbers, revenue, people that we're bringing on the team, probably not give you their specific names, that are working out, certain positions we've had to let go, how we're bobbing and weaving with the market, giving you net profit numbers. I mean, like really peeling behind the curtain of what's going on. So if you're a small business owner or you want to own a small business one day, I would think this Friday segment, this behind the scenes segment, would be very, very useful for you if you just want some feedback or something to look at to either say, I don't want to do what those idiots did, or yeah, what those guys did kind of makes sense in what I'm doing, whether you have a landscaping business or you're a law firm or whatever you're looking to do and you want to grow that business. I think this will be a very, very valuable insight for you because it's based on real life, what's actually happening. So we currently have 4 major businesses that I want to talk about. I'm going to pull from each of them, but these first 4 episodes are going to be me introducing you to these 4 businesses and giving you some background structure, some background foundational knowledge, and how these businesses were kind of formed and what they molded into. So this episode, I'm talking about our OG business, FasterHouse. Then the next episode, I'm going to talk about FasterFreedom, our education business, which honestly, people probably know the least about when it comes to actually what goes on behind the scenes. We talk about lead sourcing and flipping and wholesaling quite a bit. That's all from FasterHouse. So this company may be familiar to you. It may not be. So let me dig into kind of the origin stories of it. Then we're going to talk a little bit about where it is now and then what's next for us in this business. So FasterHouse is a flipping company that was formed in 2002. In 2002, Lucas and I were in 8th grade. So obviously we did not start FasterHouse. FasterHouse was started by a gentleman named Brian Schroeder. He started it in 2002 with his partner Jim, and they had this company that went through the kind of rise of 04, 05, 06, and then the crash of 07, 08, 9, 10, and then kind of leveled out and was doing a decent amount of business. So Lucas and I started investing in real estate in 2014 on the side with full-time jobs. We met Brian in 2016-ish, and at that point, his company, FasterHouse, was doing around 100 deals a year, and Lucas and I were doing maybe 15 to 20. Flash forward to 2017, Brian approached Lucas and I about partnering. By the end of 2017, Lucas and I were doing 40 to 45 deals a year between some wholesale, some fix and flips, and some rental ads, and FasterHouse was doing around 100. So they were definitely bigger, and Brian saw the trajectory that we were on and saw the potential of us coming in and kind of shaking things up and maybe getting a little bit in more growth mode and letting him focus on his other businesses. So he brought us in, and I was not willing to quit my job right away because I was making $250,000 a year selling Caterpillar construction equipment as a sales manager. So I enjoyed my job, and I didn't really want to give that up for a chance. But after talking with Brian and Lucas wanting to go all in, I didn't want to get left behind. So I ended up, despite a lot of people calling me stupid and saying it was a not a very smart decision with a 2-year-old daughter, and I was building a pool in my backyard, to quit my job and go all in. So the kind of thing that got me over the edge was Brian was willing to give up a 2/3 ownership. Lucas got a third, I got a third, and Brian retained a third, all for free with no money out of pocket. I think he kind of saw the ability for us to combine forces and grow together. And that's exactly what we did. From 2018 to 2020, we slowly grew. I guess it probably wasn't really that slow, but we grew to doing well over 200 deals by 2020. Then COVID hit, lots of craziness happened. The market actually just remained pretty strong and eventually got even stronger. And then by 2021, 2022, we were doing over 300 deals a year, and we were wanting to grow more. Brian was wanting to focus on some other business, so we ended up buying Brian out of his third ownership in FasterHouse. So for the past, 3-4 years, it's been Lucas and I, sole owners of the company, running everything our way. We've been through a crazy market shift. If you didn't pay attention, the real estate markets have been pretty crazy since 2022. It shot up from 2020 to 2022, but the past 3 years in aggregate, it's remained very, very steady. The overall house price in the country has remained in that low 400 range for the past 3 years, which is very, very rare. So it's been a challenging market. In 2023, 2023, we did like 190 deals and didn't make very much money. In 2024, we ended up doing about 260 deals and made decent money. And this year, we're actually ahead of schedule and scheduled, and showing that we're going to do over 300 deals this year at a much higher margin with a great staff. So I'm going to dig into like the staffing we have, the team members we have, the departments and everything in detail in future episodes. I'm going to give you a rough outline now, and then we'll talk a little bit more about, about where we're planning to go with the company. So right now, we have about 25 team members in this company. We have an operations staff. We have, an operations manager with dispositions and kind of marketing underneath that operations wing with a marketing, a lead like marketing analyst. And we have a lot of third-party marketing vendors that we work with. Then we have a sales division where we have a sales manager that manages our 5 full-time buyers. And underneath them is our lead managers. They technically report over to the operations side, but for this example, we have 3 lead managers that end up, taking in all of the leads that we get. Because I'm going to do an episode on our leads and talk about that and behind the scenes of all of that. But we get about 400 leads a month, so those need nurtured and managed by not just sales guys, because they're not always the most organized. So we have that going for us. Then we have an accounting team with a CFO for all of our companies and a few staff accountants. And then we have a contract to close division with a lady named Lori, who's a rock star. And she has a few different people that work with her to help get all these contracts to close. Because if you don't know, in the real estate investing space, most people have about a 50% close rate, meaning 50% of the properties they get under contract, they close on. That also means 50% they don't. Now, it's not always because of contingencies. A lot of the time it's because can't contact the heirs, can't figure out how to get this thing closed to the closing table with liens and things like that, unclouded title. So it's a messy situation usually if someone is selling to an investor. And we have Lori in our contract to close department that gets us over an 80% close rate. It helps that we can close on every property put under contract financially, but we also are able to jump through all the hoops needed to get a lot of these properties under contract. So it's a beast of a company. We call this our slow-moving diesel locomotive. It just is our local brand. We truly feel like we are helping people locally by taking these distressed, dilapidated houses, fixing them up, and either selling them or renting them at market rate. We don't decide the market rate, and we sure as hell don't take houses that a single mom can move into like a lot of the general public thinks real estate investors do. We take the houses that are distressed, that are off market, that are not livable, not fundable, not move-inable, not that that's a word, and we buy them, take all the risk, put $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 of cash into them, make them lendable, make them loanable, make them livable, and then we go ahead and sell them or rent them on the market. So we provide a service to the community. We're very proud of what we do. Every neighborhood that we are involved in is better off for it, not worse off, and sometimes we lose money on deals. I mean, for example, it's going to blow your mind maybe it's not going to blow your mind, I don't know. In 2023, we made a little less than $300,000, like net. Told you I'm going to give you all the numbers, not gross profit, not revenue, like net to the bottom line was around $300,000. So that's a lot of risk, a lot of overhead. Our overhead's anywhere between $200,000 and $250,000 every single month that we have to hit before we make a profit. A lot goes into that, and that margin was probably around 5 to 8%, which is not a good margin for a business like this. Currently, I'll go over these numbers in future episodes. We are sitting at 25 to 30% margins at a much healthier position. So that company's been through a lot of changes. Their leader, Matt Lauman, you'll get to know through my examples and talk with him, has done a really, really good job leading and pushing that company forward. So what we're going to talk about in future episodes, we're going to talk about everything from lead generation to deal flow to profits to wins to losses. I mean, we screw up a lot. We have really good months and really bad months. The market tends to dictate a little bit of what we do and don't do. Fortunate enough for us, we are based here in St. Louis, and it has been a very strong market. Not crazy, flaming, white hot market, but it's been a pretty strong market for the past several years. And a lot of those, really hot markets like Phoenix or most parts of California or Miami, those got crushed over the past couple years. Well, probably the past 6 to 12 months. Those markets are in decline because they were so hot. Like Austin, for example, is in a pretty hefty decline right now because it was so hot. We get a little more stability here in St. Louis. So we like that and we appreciate that. So if you like this behind the scenes idea, let me know. Shoot me a message on Instagram. Make sure you're following and subscribed on all the podcast platforms, wherever you get your podcast. Ratings and reviews help us a ton. And also, if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe, like, throw a comment in the bottom. What do you want to know about this company in future episodes? I will literally cater this to your requests and your interests. So hope you appreciate that. Make sure you're following me on all social media platforms. And if you're looking to grow real estate and grow a small business, there's no better place for you. And I'm excited to get to know you and have this be a resource for you, because I'm sick and tired of this gross guru space that we've gotten into recently of people trying to shove a $25,000 course down your throat just because you follow them on social media. We're not here to do that. We're here to provide value. So appreciate you. See you on the next one.